Chris, give us the latest there. You've been involved for several months now. Tell us what you're most worried about at this time.
It's really interesting. We had worked a little bit with one particular part of the Ukrainian government, their national CERT. On the morning of the 24th of February, we sort of stood up publicly. You can check out our nice tweet on that and said, look, we would get behind these guys and help them in every and any way we can. And so now our intelligence platform is in the hands of 7 agencies over there. And look, it's been interesting. In the lead up to the war, there was a whole bunch of Russian activity. At the very sort of crossover into the war, they killed a bunch of communications infrastructure. The Russians has taken apart a bunch of systems. They have certainly been running a whole bunch of destructive malware campaigns against call it Ukrainian power infrastructure and the like ongoingly. What's actually been very impressive is how the Ukrainians, together with foreign firms and foreign intelligence agencies and people helping them, have been able to withstand this. That's actually the most impressive. But the dear Russians are ongoingly going at it. And we may not hear too much about it because obviously as much as when bullets and the like fly in the air, a lot of other things may go to the back. But it's full speed ahead there for sure.
You've been donating software, geopolitical intelligence to Ukrainian agencies. How long are you prepared to do this for?
No ending to that. We came out and said we would go all in and try to help them in every way we could. We announced a big hiring initiative. We're hiring another 100 people in Ukraine. We're sort of, to your point, we've given them software and access to our intelligence cloud in 7 different agencies, and they're using it to go at cyber attacks, disinformation, and helping on the battlefield. We think it's been quite impactful. Obviously we can only do our little part, but we will do it as long as it can, as we can, and help them in every way they need to be able to help them basically crush the Russians, because that's, I think, what this is all about, if I'm slightly blunt here.
We've got some big midterm elections coming up in the United States. How would you rate the cyber threat level more broadly? And what are you most concerned about when it comes to these upcoming elections?
So I would say that it's interesting that the broad sort of set of disinformation activity around that is ongoing, and it's sort of at the same level as we saw in 2020. I think there's been a lot of good work done by the U.S. government. There's a lot of other sort of the firms, whether it's the social media firms and people sort of on top of that, in terms of sort of fighting back on some of this. The Russians are still there, by no question. IRA, the Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, they're still trying to go at it, targeting maybe a little bit sort of very targeted audiences that they come at. They obviously are quite busy on the home front. The Iranians have also been pretty busy on the home front, so maybe not as much. We could all have read over the last couple of days about some interesting things where the Chinese are going at it. So there are threats there, but I think we'll be in good shape. The election is going to be safe. It's going to be a good election. And even though these guys are trying, I think we're doing better.
So what's keeping you up at night right now that we're not talking about enough?
So I think it's you because obviously, you heard it in Jeff's sort of point here just now. There's plenty of cyber activity and it's not great, but I think we haven't even really started yet. I like to say that over the last 25 years, the world have sort of slowly migrated onto the internet. Next 25 years, the internet is sort of where it starts, and the world ends up being a reflection of the internet, whether it's world power or business or currency or money or identity. It all is going to emerge out of the internet. And in that world, we better have our act together. We think that is an incredible opportunity to build an intelligence company. We want to be the Bloomberg of cyber, if you want. But the world better have its act together, because this internet-centric world is going to be quite wild, and so we better all be ready for a ride.
I wonder how you think about, Elon Musk taking over at Twitter, potentially having a more open-minded approach to content moderation. Does the world have its act together?
So a dangerous subject to get into. I think he'll do good with it. I'm sort of a very positive person, even though I maybe sounded a little bit scared there before. I think he will have new smart ways to go at content moderation. So I'm an optimist about that. But and if he screws it up, the dangerous part, or not dangerous part for him is that these are pretty fleeting sort of audiences. They'll go anywhere else. And actually maybe one danger here is that if he doesn't handle this one well, we might see too much of this audience going over in the hands of TikTok. And to be honest, I'd much rather have Elon Musk run a great platform, or even maybe not such a great platform here in the United States, than having our sort of upcoming generations living their social life on TikTok. I'd take Twitter over that any day.
And why is that?
Because I think if our dear Chinese friends are controlling the information flow on TikTok, whether that's sort of controlling the news flow, being able to intercept communications on that, in that sort of, too much control in the hands of the Chinese government, to be frank, or Chinese intelligence agencies, not a good thing.